Hello, everyone, and welcome to session 8 of the Cybersecurity Awareness Series, hosted by ADL Connect and proudly sponsored by Asiata Digital Labs. Introducing Upendra Sugathadasa, a seasoned expert in information security with prestigious certificates including Certified Chief Information Security Officer, Computer Hacking Forensic Investigator, and Certified Ethical Hacker. Today, Upendra will shed light on the topic utilizing Gen AI for information security. We are excited for all attendees to benefit from his wealth of knowledge and insights. Over to you, Upendra.
Thank you, Johnny. Am I audible?
Yes,
So, first and foremost, welcome and thank you everyone for your allocating your valuable time and attending this session. Start off. So, Gen AI has been there for a while, and ChatGPT was the tool which made it known for everyone. So, nowadays, even your grandparents must be knowing what it is and what it can do. Everyone know the new kid on the block as it is. So as a security professional, we too must know this and uh, more importantly know how to leverage this so that it'll make things easy for us. May it be in GRC or operational cybersecurity activities, Gen AI can definitely help us. Also, on a small note of advice from me to you is that AI shouldn't be a replacement of anything. I would suggest it to be taken as an extension or a supplement to your existing skill set or a way to improve your day-to-day security operations. So today I'll be throwing in my 2 cents on the subject with the help of ChatGPT. Then there's Gemini, which was previously Bard and Copilot as well. So there are a few questions which arises on the topic of using AI from the perspective of infosec or data security. So questions such as are those platforms safe? The second one is, do they provide you with the 100% confidentiality or anonymity? So in my opinion, there's nothing called 100% security. So in some point in time, these platforms can get hacked as well. So we will have to be careful. And on the question number 2, it's similar to the answer I gave on the first one as well. So recently, even Google had to delete billions of records which they have collected from Chrome users who used to browse in incognito. So they were not supposed to track even when we are in private, but they have already done it and they have paid the price for that. So those two questions will last for some time for sure. And if you take the third question, so as I said, so in what do you say? In the case where the AI platform is breached, the attacker might see your chat. So if you have told in your chat saying that you work in this particular company and you have a firewall with any rules enabled, so definitely if somebody comes into that platform, yourself as well as your company will be exposed to the cyber criminals. Number 4, so are the answers you get accurate? So not 100%. So I can give an example from something I faced some time back. But at one of my previous works where I had to write a script to distribute a specific exe based on the Windows architecture. And it took me a few hours to write it on my own and test it out. And on the next day, I asked ChatGPT, so it gave me a script in a matter of seconds. The script it generated was pretty to look at and less complex compared to mine. But guess what? So what I wrote worked when it was executed through the SCCM, but the ChatGPT script did not. So in that case, I won against the machine at that time. So you can take that as a win. But my point is, so accuracy is always a question. answers that we get from AI is all based on its data set. Plus the programming behind it might have bugs as well. And so, as I said, we cannot rely 100% on the output you get out of these tools. Still, you need to do the old-fashioned legwork on your own to get the work done. So, with those questions I mentioned, uh, so they must be further discussed in a different forum or discussion. So, my advice to everyone is listed here. Just a few simple guidelines which I follow. First one is do not use production data such as IP addresses, keys, password, anything that's confidential, and then you get PII data, which are names, addresses, and mobile numbers and such info. Always double check on the content you upload. You don't want to cause a leak similar to what Samsung went through last year. Best to do a risk assessment in your organization on the aspect of using Gen AI platforms. Create a framework from the risk perspective so that you, the staff, and your company is safe. Secondly, do not give your organization names of the people you work with there. Don't type in your configuration information. So if you want to compare configuration, ask the AI to give you a recommended configuration. So you can compare it with your config file offline. Be careful in entering application names, the application vendor names, versions uh, onto the prompts when you're querying through any of these AI platforms. So, for example, do not say I work for example, ABC Bank in Sri Lanka and I'm configuring a Palo Alto firewall running version XXX and I need the best proxy URL filtering configuration to enforce. That's way too much information. Do not divulge information such as that. Also, at the end of the session, make sure to share this awareness with your colleagues as well so that they too doesn't end up making those mistakes. On another note, if your company doesn't have an AUP on AI, it's best if you start making one. You can use Gen AI platform to create one for your company itself. Let's move on to some examples. I'm going to start with GRC, compliance to be exact. Let's see how Gen AI can help a compliance assessment. We have things like PCI DSS, which is if you're dealing with credit cards, is a must for everyone. Then there's HIPAA if you are into healthcare. Then you get things like information security frameworks like ISO 27001, which is somewhat popular in Sri Lanka. Then there's NIST. That's another example of that. And all compliance standards or frameworks comes with requirements, checklists of things that you need to do or have. So if you pick NIST version 1.1 and you want to know what are the controls required to achieve a certain control. So I will ask the first question that's here. What are the controls required to be implemented to achieve compliance in NIST 1.1? Then I get the code PRDS1, data at rest is protected. So I have specified the exact version and even the exact control number or code. If I did not mention them, the answer would be quite generic. So Gemini gives me this answer, states the revision, and says the exact control I specified, and tells me what the control someone must look at. So it's basically it's covering the things that you know, the classification, encryption, access control, and there's more to it as well. And if you are used to Gemini, another feature you get is drafts. So there are multiple responses drafts on Gemini. Go through them, might be the same, but it would definitely enhance your knowledge or the end output you're looking for. On the same topic, if we ask what are the technical controls and tools recommended in order to achieve compliance on the same control. So the answer you get is more technical. And here I have picked the second draft from Gemini. So if you can see, so it's basically it says the algorithm, encryption algorithms, the key management tools we are supposed to use, ACLs, and there's more detail to it. If you on your own do this queries as well. And so let me enhance the question a little bit more. So here I say I work as a cybersecurity expert at a leading software development firm in Asia. My organization has adopted the security framework NIST 1.1. I am to implement technical controls tools to achieve data at rest is protected. What are the best backup encryption tools available? Here I'm giving the prompt more insight into me, the industry which I work in, the control version, the requirement, and then ask them to recommend a tool. Keep in mind these answers are based on the dataset the tool is using. So it might not be up to date with the latest technology, but as a security professional, this will help you get a good idea or a proper foundation. So what they're saying is there isn't any single best solution, which is true. And then go on to give me what cloud-based and on-prem encryption solution that are available. Now it's up to you to do the research and look for vendors' recommendations offline. So, and don't restrict yourself to just one Gen AI platform. You might get similar answers, but end of the day, it will improve you in your assessment or audit as well. Okay, let's take an example on PCI. I started off with Copilot on this. Uh, the, the question shows them from which background I am asking the question. Specifies the version, the exact requirement, so so that we get a good answer. So as I said, it says as the security expert in a multinational bank, how can I make sure I achieve PCI DSS 4.0 requirement 10.3? And I ask them to list out the tools or controls I can implement. So they are basically saying FIM, there's multi-factor, then SIEM. So everything regarding logging and monitoring, the tools that are required. In the industry, you know all this, but this actually gives you that input as well. So then I ask the same from the good old ChatGPT. There's more to the answer, but it's showing in showing a small fraction on the screen here, so you won't see the whole thing. But it's basically the same answer, but coined in a different manner. And once you read and understand all these results, you will definitely get what PCI QSA will look for, even query you. And even more importantly, it will be what you need to do to secure your card data. Also, another benefit that I want to point out is from generative AI platforms, you can do compliance pre-audits. Get the AI to ask possible questions an auditor might ask you, so that you'll be more prepared before facing an audit. So this will be more of a cheat code in that case. And sticking with GRC, I think I covered G and C. Another aspect is R, which means risk. So what can Gen AI, or rather, how can Gen AI help us on this? Also, keep in mind, don't forget the guidelines which I mentioned earlier. So always keep that in mind. So all my queries are based on those. On the topic of risk management or assessment, Gen AI will not be able to give the risk related to your specific company. but it can tell you what other organizations in the same industry consider as risk. So if you're a bank, so definitely there's a benchmark for that. So in a general financial institute, they will have risk in credit cards, third parties will be providing services for them. Then they'll have internet and mobile banking facilities. So on the prompt, we can include those as well. So I'll be actually promoting all of you to the role of a CISO on this scenario. So what I'm asking is, what are the top 10 most significant risks a CISO in a banking institute must perform risk assessment on? Then I say we should cover credit card handling, third-party service provider handling, over-the-counter banking, internet and mobile banking as well. And so if you look at the answer, there's actually given a lot of information because on the prompt itself, I've given a lot of insight on to my query. For example, now the result that we have received says data security and breaches that they are segregated. Data security and breaches, which covers payment card exposure, data breaches, the compliance failure. Then it moves on to cyber attacks, the basic social engineering and phishing attacks. Then you get DOS, web application, mobile app, and man-in-the-middle attacks. Then they go on to show the requirements of DLP insider threats, unauthorized access, the requirement of a PAN, physical security. Those are basically the best answer you can get. It covers almost all the risk related to a bank. So if I ask the same thing from ChatGPT, they again have coined it in a different way, but it's the same thing basically. Credit card, then you got third-party providers, over-the-counter, mobile banking, cybersecurity, data privacy and compliance, outsourcing risk and all the stuff. Number 10 is different. So as in, I think this wasn't there on the first result that we saw. Emerging technologies, which is also is that we have to look in. So since we are all as CISOs, so now we have a good idea on what are the major risks we must look at, and also add more details to the question if you want to. For example, define the size of the bank, the customer base, priorities of the bank, country-specific concern. You can imagine whatever you want on that and add. So, but always without divulging what the bank is. That's the best way to get the result out. And since with Gen AI, it's always a conversation. If you want, you can ask them to list more risks. For like example, after this question, you can ask them to list 10 more risks. So your assessment has more depth and detail, and it will cover all possible scenarios. And if I want to dig deeper into one risk, specifically pick one risk, and we ask something similar to as a bank with a mobile banking app, what are the attacks or threats the CISO must be aware of? So ChatGPT actually responds says malware, then there's phishing, and in the middle, authentication bypass, data leakage, so jailbreaking. So those are basically what comes for mobile application side. And there's more to it. So it covers all that you need from the perspective of a mobile app development. So when you are testing it out, ask the same from Gemini or Copilot, similar to what I did earlier. So you all get a better answer in the end. Then if you go a step further inwards, you can ask the same question for all the attacks listed on the previous slide. So here I have asked Copilot, what's the impact? What is the impact to the bank if an attacker exploits or bypass root detection controls on a mobile banking app? So since we are still on the risk side of things, so the risk assessment, here it says what will happen if somebody actually bypasses the root detection controls that are already in place in that app. And um, and it continues. So there's there is four impacts actually, and go through them. Those are basically common things that are there, but in detail they are giving the reasoning behind it as well. Use multiple platforms and ask the same from each of them. Put the answers together on your own, and definitely you'll end up with a comprehensive risk assessment in this scenario. And as you can see, even if you are a seasoned veteran in information security or a rookie, so this will ease your risk assessment, will escalate your process because this actually gives all what you need to type and all those stuff. You don't have to waste time on typing anything as well. So as the next step, I can see what are the possible mitigating controls for the risk or attack. So I ask, how do I mitigate potential attacker exploiting or bypassing group detection controls of a mobile app? So continue the same question asked I previously asked. And so what they're saying is hardening the app itself. So code obfuscation, then integrity check, secure coding practices, multi-layered authentication, data entry, and they list out a lot of information that it will be important for the developer in this case. So also when you get the answers, look at them. Uh, and based on the practicality and also factoring in all the connected parts within your organization, you can come up with a good plan to mitigate this risk. Yeah. And also as an added step, you can get Gen AI to give a risk scoring, but it has to be based on the company risk appetite. So let's, if I'm asked the question as mentioned here, how would you score high, medium, low? The risk of mobile banking app being exploited by bypassing its root detection. Assume the bank risk appetite is high. So obviously, and you get the score as high because it's a banking app. The if it's exploited, the risk is also high. Uh, so in a banking context, it's always good. But if I switch the industry on the same question, so what I hear, what I'm saying the same question, it says that it's a mobile gaming app. It's also being bypassed for detection. Assume the game developer risk appetite is the risk appetite is on both questions are high, but the score here becomes medium. So as I said, like all the time when you're querying, make sure you give the correct insight so that it covers uh, your scenario. So, also, AI tool will also give their reasoning behind their answers as well. Uh, Also read through whatever the answers you're getting. If it's not related to you, make sure you tweak it so that you get the correct output at the end of the day. And not, on another note, I would like to say that yeah, in all of the queries that I made, I have not given any sensitive information in my query. So no bank names, software names, app names. Still, I get the results that I need. Moving on, I will give GRC a break and move on to vulnerability assessments. So as a security expert, we deal with vulnerability assessment, reports, remediation, uh, almost all the time. So AI tools can be used to supplement those. Example, ask AI the best way to secure specific server. So uh, know the best security hardening configuration for a specific OS or a browser. So if I ask the question shown here, it directed on Windows 2022. So it tells me the best option, CIS. So they are referring to CIS. Further, it will give me alternatives as well. Um, so, so if in the case this has already pointed out me to CIS, you will definitely have to go to the CIS website and get the latest version of the document on the hardening document. The AI tool might not be up to date, so best to do the legwork on your own as always. Another aspect which you can make use of it is ask the tool on how to revalidate ourselves so that we are not vulnerable to specific CVE. So if I ask something like how to confirm that my Windows Server 2022 is not vulnerable for CVE 2021-31979. So it's telling me the steps to check manually. So in some cases, the scanners that we use can give out false positive and wrong answers, like saying the vulnerability is there or not. So manually verifying will be required for you to do. So ask the Gen AI tool, so they will give you the results, like give you the manual steps for you to do it, but always double check that answer so that you don't end up running a command that will wipe out something or change a registry file or something. Also, you can ask the tool to help with a specific VA tool as well. Like ask you how to do a specific test, how to run a specific test, or how to do a specific PT. And uh, another note to keep in mind, Gen AI has limitations. So as I said on the data set, so they have a training data set, so which is not up to date. Gemini will not say the date. You can actually ask the Gen AI platform what's the date that their training data set is updated. Gemini didn't actually say anything. ChatGPT mentioned it's September 2021 or something similar to that. So therefore, always you can't fully rely on Gen AI. So as I said from the beginning, always use it as a supplement. For penetration testers, main objective is to find a vulnerability and exploit it. But the exploit is not something. It shouldn't be something that's destructive. So you can't run a DDoS and shut the whole network down, or log into a server, exploit and log into a server, and then delete some sensitive files. So there's a code of ethics we have to follow. We need to pretend to be an actual attacker and have to make sure you put the emphasis on pretend. So when using Gen AI for PT, we have to do things the same way. Stick to the ethics. Be responsible when you are using Gen AI tools. So, uh, so another ethical question you will face is getting AI tools into right scripts to exploit. You might be doing it as part of your legitimate work, the request that came from a legitimate company, or it might be a malicious purpose. AI tool will not be able to know the exact reason behind your query. So they might actually end up giving you the script that you are asking for. And so that's a total different conversation altogether. So to start off with, I will try to I'll try out a new prompt as a query with a penetration testing standard. So I am asking as a penetration tester, state 5 effective tests I should conduct on an internet banking web application. Use the penetration testing execution standard. So, so here I'm not showing the full result, so but it gives you an idea on what the answer is. So basically, it refers to the standard, and it gives us requirement codes as well. Requirement 6.1 and 6.2. Test for weak session management, test for brute force attacks on logging credentials, insecure authentication, authorization bypass. Sorry. So basically, the those are what those are what we normally do. So, on if you go on to depth, if you go on to read the details that are they use tools like Nmap, so they say what to do there as well. So, if you want to go in depth, you can actually ask what are the commands you can run uh, in order to do it as well. Uh, Keep in mind, we need to keep the ethics in mind. Uh, so that we know that we are doing the correct thing the correct way. So as another example, using a MIT-ATT&CK framework, uh, so many steps in executing the adversary in the middle attack. That's my query. So I expected ChatGPT to say no to this, decline to reply to my question, but for some reason it actually did. So basically, I'm guessing ChatGPT trusts me on this. So uh, so they actually list matches the might attack framework and gives the steps on that as well. So I used the same question in Gemini, and it also gave me a detailed response. So that's another thing with Gen AI. So uh, they are not capable of knowing whether you're asking these questions with good intent or bad. So so from what I researched so far, best to prompt as a defender rather than the attacker. So don't go to ask how to exploit a specific vulnerability or CVE. Rather, ask by giving a scenario where your network is breached, so a specific vulnerability, what techniques might have the attacker use, and how to mitigate them. Then you will definitely get an answer out of the prompt. So on the same example, how to mitigate can be the second question. So here I'm asking if the server was exploited using a CV20, not to mitigate, sorry. Yeah, sure. Got it. So here what I'm asking is uh, if they get into the server through one exploit, how do they do another attack? So what I'm asking is if they come through a CVE, known CVE, then what are the methods they use to do lateral movement? So if you read the answers, uh, what they're saying is parcel spraying, then pass through hash attack, then use the general, so remote RDB, they do scans and all this stuff. So everything that you do after you get into a system is listed here. So you can actually give the specific technique saying if you want to do this, how do you get it? So run this on your own, and you will definitely get more insight or more results so that it will help you in your end result. So another thing to keep in mind is always look at the recommendations. So here what they're specified is what they're saying is these are just examples, and there can be other ways methods that the attacker might be using. So what they're saying, depending on the network configuration, security practices, the policies and procedures that we all follow, the passwords. So all the crucial stuff are mentioned here as well. So always look at their recommendation, like the conclusion. So not a recommendation. Some of the comments are more like uh, uh, summarize conclusion or something on each and every query you get. They give that as well. So as a security practitioner, we are there to stop things like this from happening, like somebody exploiting. So the things they have mentioned here comes into play. If you are just into PT and still you can use them, use the recommendation that I mentioned here. So even if you are into PT, you have to create a report, you have to submit a report. So you can get it out of this. Further, you can use the prompt to create PT report template as well. This will save a lot of time. Plus, it will be written in terms that the people who are patching or fixing understands. So as I said, take the template. Do not add anything sensitive like company name, uh, uh, company name you're running the PT on, or just ask the template defining the scope and section that you want to see. Play around with this. Keep in mind on the basic guidelines I mentioned at the start as well. So I think it went a little too fast, but so I have someone reached the end of everything. So I hope what I covered today will help you in your day-to-day information security work. You don't really need to limit yourself to what I just showed. So you can let your imagination run wild on this and get more out of it. But always keep in mind, Gen AI is a supplement, and uh, do not 100% rely on the result that you are getting out of it. And also, when you are querying, do not share your sensitive information with it. Those are the guidelines which I mentioned earlier. So this will be a good addition for you to utilize. Will save you a ton of time and effort. Uh, so have fun using Gen AI. Are there any questions on what I just mentioned? Well, y'all have to test all this out on your own, and then you can feel uh, like asking the right question and getting the correct answer and getting the best out of the Gen AI platform. Are there any queries or questions you want to be directed?
Yeah, so if there's any questions, we can enter it into the chat. So, audience, if you have any questions, you can enter it to the chat and Upendra will answer them.
Yes, I can. So since there aren't anything, you can conclude this, Jordan.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Upendra. So, in conclusion, I would like to, on behalf of everyone, give a sincere thank you to you, Upendra, for sharing your
Thank you.
expertise with us today. And of course, your time and insights will obviously be invaluable to all of us. So, to the attendees, thank you all for joining us today. And we look forward to your continued participation in our future ADL Connect sessions. So, wishing everyone a fantastic day ahead and thank you.
Thank you, everyone.